What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all soon, and you'll get notified as soon as we drop any new content on this channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's do a little bit of a preview. Let's talk about Canelo versus Bivol, or it should actually be Bivol versus Canelo, because Dimitri Bivol is actually defending his title against Saul Canelo Alvarez tomorrow. But Canelo is that big of a star that it almost always seems, no matter whether he's fighting a champion or he's a challenger or whatever, he always seems like the main guy just because of his fame and the star power and everything. So yeah, that's going to be taking place T-Mobile Arena tomorrow evening in Las Vegas, over there in the USA. So yeah, I am really looking forward to this one. And just going to talk about a few things with the fight, give a little prediction and what I think might take place in this fight, who might be the victor. So in my opinion, straight off the bat, I believe that just instinctively, I just think Canelo's gonna take this fight and win it on points. That's like my overall prediction. I believe it will be, no matter what happens, it will be a very tough fight. It will be a very tough experience for Canelo, because Dimitri Bivol, he has the dimensions, he has the size advantage and everything over Canelo. We've seen against other guys, this hasn't counted for much. When he fought Callum Smith, didn't count for much for him, but Smith is more flat-footed and more so, you know, he's sort of a guy that's flat-footed. He's not a mover like Bivol, and you know, this is one of those where I think Bivol will make it very hard for Canelo. I think in order for Bivol to win, or to stand a chance of winning in this fight, tactically, I think he's got to outbox Canelo. I think that's clear for all to see, that he's got to try and keep Canelo, as I always like to say, sort of on the end of his shot. So try and keep Canelo on the end of a jab. Sometimes he can even do that thing Klitschko used to do back in the days, and you know, all sorts of fighters do this, where you sort of have your left hand out there, you know, your left hand just sort of floating out there to keep the guy off you. So you can even vary that with an actual hard jab, and then a soft, you know, vary the power of the jab. Sometimes just sticking his hand out there, just as long as he's sort of keeping Canelo at bay. You know, that would be my thing for him, because Canelo, in order for him to attack and him to wear you down, I think he does two things really. He gets close to his guy, and he puts a lot of pressure on his opponents with his feet by moving forward. And kind of the genius of Canelo is that he will move forward and he won't actually do that much. But just the mere fact that he's coming forward, he's coming after you, and he's in your space, like he's right within punching range, makes you have to work. And you have to work, as he's right there, he's right in your face. So you feel you've got to work, and he's able to wear guys down by just being there. And he doesn't actually have to do much. He can just sit there and he can ride your shots, make you miss, and then counter with his explosive, you know, his explosive body shots, those uppercuts that he likes to throw. And Canelo's very good at setting traps for his opponents, you know, pretending to do a hook to the body, and then he comes up to the head. Like he surprises guys with attacks, and he's very cerebral, very calculated in the way that he attacks. So I would say, if you're Bivol, you have to kind of try and keep Canelo at bay somehow. Maybe even by when Canelo comes close, you hit him and then you grab him, use clinching tactics to sort of make him have to reset, and you go back to the center of the ring again. So you try and do your damage on the outside. If Canelo gets in, you try to sort of tie him up, hit him and then try and tie him up. That sort of thing might That's what I'd be looking for out of Dimitri Bivol. But the main thing I'd say is straight punches, and I think also the feet are going to be very important for Dimitri Bivol. I think his chance in many ways will be, at least one of them will be with the feet. You know, if he can sort of keep outmaneuvering Canelo, keep not excessively sort of moving to the point where it's too negative, but I think just movement in general, making sure that, right, Canelo comes in, you're taking a step back or you're taking a step to the side, and you're, you know, making sure that Canelo can't be in your face and can't sort of set himself, because a fighter like Canelo, he needs to be right there, be in punching range, and he needs to sort of set himself, and he sets a lot of traps as he's coming in, does Canelo, in order that you can panic or you can do something defensively, and then he can hit you where you're open, and he's excellent at doing that. So for me, Bivol's just got to try his best to use his straight shots, use his legs, and I would say try to get sort of an early lead on Canelo. Try and outbox him early, double up your jab, try and unsettle Canelo. And I would say he's got to also vary up his attacks. Dimitri Bivol, you know, if he's using a jab, maybe it's a jab to the body once, and then you bring it up, jab body, jab head. He's got to sort of vary what he's doing. He's got to use the whole of the ring and try and outbox Canelo. But I think because Canelo's so good at reading the patterns, he's got to make sure that he varies what he's doing. So you can even stick the left hand out and then it's bang, bang. It's a reverse 1-2 rather than just conventional 1-2. I think something like that is what he's got to sort of employ there. And he's got to try and keep Canelo sort of off balance and make sure that he doesn't get in the pocket. If he does try and come into the pocket, he's got to eat a shot before he gets in, or if he gets close to you, tie him up. And it's got to be sort of a boxing game plan for Bivol. Although, on the other hand, you could argue that because of Canelo's star power, Bivol, I think, for him to win, it will be very difficult to do on points. So it's one of these where I think he's got to sort of outbox Canelo for the win. Try not to think about, the scorecards or whatever always going in Canelo's favor. But on the other hand, for Canelo, I think he's got to do what he normally does. Use his feet, put pressure on Bivol. I'd say he's got to invest, work Bivol's body early, with those crunching right and left hooks to the body, keep working the body. As I was saying earlier, pressure him with your feet, use those little slick uppercuts that he does and break the man down and then try to get the guy out of there. That's what my advice would be for Canelo, sort of jab your way in, vary the jab, always, go to the body from round one all the way up to whenever this finishes. Work the body, war in the basement, as Teddy Atlas likes to say. Bring your little uppercuts up and stuff and just grind Bivol down, make him panic, make him keep working while you sort of work at your own pace. That's what I would sort of say for Canelo, and that's what I sort of, in my opinion, that's what I think is going to happen. Canelo's going to sort of wear him down, but I think Bivol will actually see the final bell because he's very good and very skilled fighter. But I think also another factor that unfortunately we have to take into consideration when we're talking about this fight is obviously where Dimitri Bivol comes from. He is a Russian, so obviously at the moment the war's going on, and that I can't deny that might play a factor even in the judging. So that's another aspect I think that you've got to consider, that okay, even if he does outbox Canelo, he does, in most people's scorecards and maybe commentate whoever's scorecards, he does win the fight. Politically now, will the politics come into it where the judges might see him win a round and say, well, because he's from such and such country, we're not going to give him that round. So I think that's another thing that could come into play, that even if Bivol does put on an amazing performance and basically win the fight, will he get the nod given the political climate that we're in our day? That's another thing to consider. I'm not sure how that will work, but I get the feeling that maybe even for that reason he might not get the nod on points. So I suppose for him, for Bivol, big of a task it might be, being that Canelo, I don't even think he's ever been down before. He might have to put the pedal to the metal at some point in this fight, and I suppose try and hurt and try and get Canelo out there in his own way. But I think that's definitely smart for him to at least try and put Canelo down and try and, he's got to box, but he's got to also be quite aggressive in this fight, because those factors are in there too, the whole political situation. So anyway, let me know what you think of this. My pick is Canelo on points. That's what I think is going to happen. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know what your prediction, your pick is for Dimitri Bivol versus Canelo tomorrow. And until next time, this is MKO Pugilism, over and out.